Hey guys, I'm 47Y.
And I'm Lurthus,
We've both been playing RuneScape for over a decade at this point, but it was always on the main game, whether that be RuneScape Classic
which was just RuneScape at the time.
or modern day RS3.
I've had my main account since before membership even existed.
And while I've been playing for a lot less time, I have a max main that is slowly working towards Compcate. Somewhat recently, I was recommended various OSRS videos, and I ended up watching a few One Chunk series. I sent them to Lurthus and we both decided to try it out. We played a bit separately, but realized there was a lot of the game we didn't know, and attempting to do it as an Iron Man was even worse.
And so, we found a middle ground with Bronzeman Mode. Together we have 2 chunks and access to the GE, but only for items we have already obtained. There's a rules video linked below for a more in-depth explanation of how we're going to be playing.
We're starting with the Grand Exchange unlocked, but thanks to Bronzeman, we can't do anything with it yet. So let's get started with the first chunk roll. And for the first chunk, we get Edgeville. Some of these tasks will be changing as soon as we roll the second chunk, so I'll go over all of them after that. The main thing to note is the Slayer task from Vanica, which only needs 1 Slayer but also needs 40 combat. If we manage to get extremely lucky on Slayer tasks, we could get all of these as best in slot items, but most likely we get maybe a single task done before we're locked by not being able to access the creatures. Once that happens, a lot of these items won't be available, and this will change up a good bit. The first rock task will be completed just by doing the skill task, and the second rock task will get the level required by working our way up to use, so neither of those are an issue. The wilderness tasks are both simple things, the second of which doesn't actually require you to enter the wilderness at all. Most of the creatures we need to kill are in the Edgeville dungeon, but none of them should be too difficult. Black demons can be safe spotted and the rest are relatively low level. Keep in mind, Chronozon and Obor would be in this list, but since neither of us are good at PvM, we aren't requiring ourselves to do any of the bosses, even the easy ones. And finally, we need to get a black axe. Nothing too special, it's just the highest tier axe that we have available here. And for our second chunk, we get the Palace. The only things that actually changed were the attack, cooking, and prayer levels needed. Moss Giants drop a couple of mithril weapons, so one of us needs to be able to equip those. Unlocking the Palace means someone needs to get at least 52 prayer to do the hard task. It's not difficult, thanks to the GE, it's just going to cost a chunk of gold. Thanks to the task I'll go over shortly, firemaking and woodcutting are now required in the Palace chunk, and since woodcutting is part of the Palace, so is fletching now. While we can't mine without a pickaxe, a couple enemies drop coal or iron, and others drop copper and tin, so smithing is possible. And a mud pie just needs a couple drops from imps, which won't be hard to do other than the constant teleporting away. The only change for best in slot is a Zamorak monk bottom from the monk trapped under the stairs. The Palace is costly for prayer, but the task is easy enough beside that. We already had to get 60 woodcutting and firemaking, it's just now needed in the Palace chunk instead of Edgeville. A handful of creatures were added, most of them are in the sewers with a couple in the palace itself, nothing too annoying. And we still just need a black axe. I spent the first hour or two hanging out in the GE picking up whatever items I could. In some cases it helped out, and in some it made our lives much harder. This first episode is going to be almost entirely voiceover audio, since it wasn't until we were pretty much done recording it all that we realized both of our microphones sounded like this. Okay, so after picking up a bunch of stuff from random people dropping things, so instead of making anyone listen to that for more than a few seconds, we decided to go this route. In the future there will be some voiceover, but a lot of the clips will have audio from the time of recording. With that out of the way, here's a list of the items I managed to pick up before I actually did anything. Most of these don't mean much, but some of them stand out. The Amulet of Power is a major upgrade to all styles. The Black 2H Sword will help Lurthus in earlier combat training. A Bronze Axe means I can now start woodcutting before Lurthus goes to get the Iron Axe. Chocolate Cake is an incredible food for low HP accounts. The Dragon Scimitar is nice, but requires a quest to use, so it's a long way out. The Sack of 2 Onions means the new highest level cooking requirement. Rune Boots are amazing since we have no other way to get any metal boots anywhere near us. The Rune Chain Body not only means one less drop to get, it also completes a best in slot item very early. The Rune Scimitar will likely be a best in slot training weapon for a long time. The Ceridome and Coif is great, but does come at the cost of needing 70 range once we have a method to train it. And lastly, the Zamorak Monk Bottom is another best in slot item completed without farming for it. With all the new items, a few of the tasks have changed. The Rune Scimitar means we need to get 40 attack to wield it. Since the Scimitar isn't tied to a specific chunk and the best training method is in Edgeville, that task has been moved back there. The Wilderness Medium task requires us to charge an Earth Orb, which needs 60 magic. 42 cooking to make fried onions is the only other skill task that changed. While playing, neither of us thought about the fact that fried onions should have been an Edgeville task since the range is closer to a bank, and as such, it's being treated as a task in the Palace chunk. Other than items that were picked up and instantly completed, the only change to best in slot is getting the Rune Scimitar means we need a Mithril Kite Shield as well. Like I said before, we now need to charge an Earth Orb. The entire time I was picking up items in the Grand Exchange, Lurthus was actually training.
To start my character right, I went straight to leveling my combat. The first thing I did was killed rats in the sewers to get base 10 melee stats, as they can't hit me, but men can. However, as you're about to see, I went a little over that. So after finishing off the rats with 14 attack, 14 strength, and 11 defense, I worked my way over to men. My main equipment starting out was just a black two-hander 47 picked up for me to train with, at least for now. My plan was to work on getting strength up till I could hit for 7. After that, get attack to 20 so I could then use the mithril sword that I could get from moss giants. Afterwards, I would be getting base 40 stats so I could use the rune semi and the rune armor. Here was my first clue scroll drop, however, I was not able to complete this one. Shortly after the last one, I received the step I could do, but when I finished that, I got another clue, and that step I just couldn't do. Same goes for this one, and man, I was just wanting a casket at this point, as it had been around 8 hours and only had 2 clue steps that I had been able to do. It sucked. At this point, I had raised my strength to 36 and my attack to 20, so I went to moss giants and collected all the drops from what someone else killed and left. I managed to get every drop I need, including a black square shield, steel kite shield, mithril sword, magic staff, and all runes they dropped, so we only needed a water rune for the basic runes. Back to killing more men, I guess. So here we have my first lamp, and decided I'll be lamping agility, as there are a few places to level it, and run energy is definitely needed. Here's the first beginner clue scroll, but I'm never lucky. I killed imps for a bit for their drops and got all the ones we needed, including all the beads, a pot of flour, some raw chicken, an egg, and the chef's hat. Future alert this here. So I am new to this whole YouTubing thing, and while I tried to get clips of as much as I remembered, there are a couple of things I did forget to include. The main one I want to address here is a few people that were kind and dropped items for me, or even let me pick up their drops from kills after I explained the purpose of this specific challenge. I want to just give a quick shout out to these wonderful individuals as they helped the early game out on this challenge greatly. There's 40 strength, on to attack.
It didn't take too long to get my first clue scroll, but it was in Drainer, so it went straight to the ground. Once I hit 15 fletching, I moved on to oak trees. I probably could have swapped sooner and bought normal logs, but saving money is always nice. I made it to 48 woodcutting with an iron axe before I decided to stop and wait for the black axe. Lorthus had picked up some raw rat meat, so I swapped to cooking that. Once I got to 20 cooking, I swapped over to cooking trout for some slightly better XP. At 42, I just needed to cook some fried onions, but of course I ate the first onion and burnt the other one. So I got a handful more and tried again. Task done. Since I still didn't have a black axe, I moved on to thieving. I had a bunch of trout from cooking, so I used those all the way to 25. Once I hit 25, I decided to change to warrior women. I spent about 45 minutes trying to get a grape or jug of wine to make thieving with them slightly better, but didn't manage to get either. I did, however, pick up a few new items. None of the things I picked up changed our tasks, but the ones in green are all really nice for us. It turns out if you don't pay attention to your HP, thieving is dangerous. Luckily I had the glory, so I spent as little time outside of unlocked chunks as I could. After a couple more hours of pickpocketing warrior women, I reached 40 thieving and then failed to pickpocket a guard for 33 seconds straight. Task done. While trying to decide what I wanted to do next, I went back to picking up items at the Grand Exchange. I decided to give Lorthus all the combat-related items I picked up, and he wasn't too happy about the longbow.
Oh, what the hell?
I did also get an iron pickaxe for myself as well. With these new items, we both had some new tasks to do. We now need 70 range to equip the Ceridome and Coif along with the black d'hide items. Fletching now requires level 61 to make mahogany stock. Mining is now accessible and needs to be done to 70 to mine an addy ore, which then needs 70 smithing to make it into a bar. On a positive note, thieving and cooking are both done.
Seems like it took forever, but 40 attack and it's time to wield the rune semi. And there we go. Very nice. Here we have another beginner clue scroll. But we do only have one step we can do on them, which is the Grand Exchange we saw before. But let's hope for a casket. And we got one, but nothing good. So, oh well, at least we got a casket done. I had to get a Slayer task from Vanica, but it was ogres, so for now Slayer is locked.
With Slayer being locked, our best in slot items change around a bit. The only item that changed that we didn't already have is the Maple Shield for ranged.
47 actually had items I wanted for once. Mainly the Super Combat Potion, the Dehyde Vambraces, and the Weapon Poisonings. Those will definitely come in handy later.
My first maze ended up giving me feathers, which will be nice for fletching in the future. Back at the GE while I worked on fletching, I managed to get Lurthus a trim mithril plate body along with vile ashes, but most importantly for both of us, I picked up a stamina potion. Another major upgrade while fletching, a mithril axe. With 48 woodcutting already, that meant that I could stop waiting for the black axe and use a better one instead. And then 2 minutes later I got an Addy axe as well.
Here I started the grind of 52 prayer after buying all the bones I would need. It didn't take long really, which was nice. Alright, so 52 prayer was finished, now it's time to complete the diary achievement. There we go, finished. I got the Freaky Forester event, and a quick tip, you can kill any pheasant and give it to him now. You do not need to give him the one that he actually asks for. Emblem Trader achievement completed. Another genie, and that means more agility experience. Nice. Just hit 39 defense here. Just hit 40 HP, and there's 40 defense, so it's time for the new armor. There we go, and boy does it feel good to be off Min. I decided I want all the costumes, so I'll do all the random events that drop them, starting with basic training.
I took a break from fletching while I waited for maple logs to buy and went back to woodcutting for a bit. When I finally got my first genie, it went into agility since walking is a pain and staminas are expensive still. When I hit 53 woodcutting, I decided to take a break and go back to fletching since the maple logs had bought. 40 minutes later, I went back to woodcutting while I waited for my random event and managed to hit 54. An hour over the estimate, I finally got Evil Bob and got 7 fishing from him.
Man, done. Emp, done. Warrior Woman, done. Guard, done. Giant Rat, done. Zombie Unarmed, done. Scorpion, done. Skeleton Plane, done. Skeleton Unarmed, done. Ghost, done. Zombie Armed, done. Skeleton Armed, done. Spider, done. Giant Spider, done. Deadly Red Spider, done. Moss Giant, done. Grizzly Bear, done. Black Knight, done.
60 fletching. I forgot I needed 61 at the time. While finishing up woodcutting, I got a clue step that I couldn't do but was in a chunk that we might roll next, so I juggled it. Anything to help Molly, right? She gave me uncut sapphires, so I guess it was worth it. I did get another clue that I could do while juggling the one that I couldn't, but I wasn't able to complete the second step. 60 woodcutting, done. 61 fletching, done. The actual task for the mahogany stock, done. Time to start on fire making. And there's 15 fire making.
So I had to kill the Monk of Zamorak, but didn't have any magic yet, so essentially I splashed on him till I got to 13 magic. Monkazami? Done. So after I finished the kills, 47 realized that I needed to get a steel mace off the Black Knights. It's a 1 in 128 drop. So here I had just hit 46 strength, and that made a total level of 250. Also, after 172 kills, still no mace. Ouch. Finally, after 204 slow kills, I got the steel mace to finish off all the tasks I could do in the castle chunk. I am done.
And the final things to do in the chunk: 60 fire making, grab a U-log, run over to the top floor of the church and light it. Chunk done. With that chunk done, here's a list of every item that we've collected so far. At the end of this chunk, the level requirements we have remaining are 70 range for a Ceridome Coif and Black Dragonhide, 60 magic to create an Earth Orb, 70 mining to collect an Adamantite ore, and 70 smithing to make that ore into a bar. The only item we don't have for our best in slot gear is a Rune Medhelm. We still need to make a Waka canoe near Edgeville, collect 5 red spider's eggs from the wilderness, and charge an Earth Orb to complete all the diary tasks. We still have yet to kill a Black Demon, Chaos Druid, Hill Giant, Armed and Unarmed Hobgoblin, Outlaw, Poison Spider, Thug, and Plain Zombie. And we never did get a Black Axe, but I picked up an Addy Axe, so that's done too. All that's left now is to roll a new chunk. Don't forget to subscribe to see what chunk we get next video.